super relevant for you as well. One of the challenges that real estate investors have is stagnant rental income. We see that all the time. That's why we're buying their properties at a discount. Tenant turnover, too fast. Tenants not staying long enough for you to actually get the return on investment. Decline in property value, inefficiencies in operations where you're actually losing money even though your property manager is in place, and competitive disadvantages from not knowing what's going on in the market. We're going to solve all of that today. Welcome back, alchemists. This is the 52 Weeks to Wealth. Wealth principle number 6. Your business must provide value to the marketplace. Now, these wealth principles, we've been journeying through this journey for the last 6 weeks, but we've been doing this for almost 5 years. It's our 5th season of the 52 Weeks to Wealth. And on this journey, we're on a mission to double your income and double your net worth. Show of hands if you're still committed to helping others do the same. Excellent. So Alchemist Nation is committed to building 100 millionaires who are inspired to building 100 millionaires. We've built over 30 millionaires over the last 4 years. And this 5th year, we believe, is the year that we're going to be able to close it out and have our 100 millionaires building 100 millionaires. Now, this wealth principle is a little different from some of the others. Up until this point, we have been very tactical in the sense that we were figuring out basics. Now we're diving into how to actually manage our portfolio acquisitions and identify areas that we want to be in versus areas that we don't want to be in. Show of hands if you're committed to owning multifamily investments. You like the idea of cash flow. You like the idea of equity. Excellent. Awesome. So that makes you a real estate investor, whether or not you own 1 unit, 10 units, 20 units, 100 units, or 1,000 units. We were having the conversation yesterday. What makes a real estate investor? And truthfully, it's somebody who is calculating deals, who is submitting offers, who is raising capital, who is owning property. And at any level, if you're doing any one of those things, you are actively investing in real estate. Show of hands if you commit to staying in the game. Excellent. Well, here's one of the things that I've learned before we get into this wealth principle is that if you do not stay in the game, you will eventually lose. Because everybody in real estate right now who is holding and has been holding for the last 10 years, 20 years is rich as you know what. Show of hands if you understand. A lot of rich people out there. You've seen them. You've met them. You've heard their stories, right? Well, some of them are making mistakes. Some of them started making mistakes 2, 3 years ago. Interest rates went up. They were buying things with more leverage than they should have. And we actually happen to be buying a portfolio that is 128 units from an investor who over leveraged themselves about a year ago. And now they can't refinance and they didn't do their renovations fast enough. And now they're 30% vacant still, but they spent a ton of money over renovating the outside of the building. And they're in a position where they need to sell the property. Show of hands, you commit to never being one of those guys. Yes, we hope it never happens to any of us. Again, so here are the 5 challenges that happen from not adding value. By the way, who here has heard add value? You must add value. All right, it's an overused term. I talked about this in the Recession Proof Challenge this week and last week. The concept of adding value is an overused term. So I'm going to shift it to your business must solve a problem. That's why Wealth Principle 6 does not say add value. It says your business must solve a problem. If you're a real estate investor, your problems that you solve should be 1, housing. People need a place to live. So you're solving the problem of housing. 2, sometimes you're solving the problem of affordability. 3, sometimes you're solving the problem of better quality housing. Or 4, sometimes you're solving the problem of more space, more options, a larger diversity inside the house. Sometimes you're solving the problem of a better location. Show of hands if you understand there are 5 ways we solve problems. Absolutely. As real estate investors, it's very important that we impress upon our clients, our tenants, that we are solving problems. And I want to be very clear. I want to be very clear on this. When I say clients and tenants, I say that for your benefit to lock that into your brain. But here's the truth of how you should look at all tenants. And write this down if you're looking to be in this business for a very long time. Tenants are not clients. Tenants are employees. Tenants are staff. It is their job to keep the inside of your units clean and tidy. True or true? Landlords know what I'm talking about. It's our job to make sure that they know their job, which is to keep the property clean and safe. If tenants are damaging the property, we're going to remove them. True or true? Absolutely. So tenants are actually clients and employees at the same time. And if you're a business owner and you have employees, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've had many, many staff and many, many partners and many people who work with me, under me, around me. And what I found is that they become my clients. And then my clients are actually their clients. Show of hands if that makes more sense. Excellent. So now that's out of the way. Let's talk about stagnant rental income. Neglecting a property, if you do not take care of it, if you do not raise rents, or you neglect a property, stagnant income can end up making situations like a refinance where interest rates are going higher impossible to maintain the property financially, to be able to hold on to the property. It can kill your cash flow and it can limit the cash flow gains. Expenses continue to go up no matter what. And that is something we call inflation. So if you're familiar with inflation, it's crushing you right now, right? The more buildings you own, the more inflation has an impact on your monthly flow. If you remember Wealth Principle 6, Principle 3, we talked about the four types of money, flow being one of them. So this principle talks about how we can solve that. We want to increase rents at all times by increasing and improving our properties. So stagnant rental income is one of the things we're going to solve today. Tenant turnover happens from outdated properties and also happens from poor management. Tenants will leave you if you do not manage properly and if your buildings are no longer competitive to the marketplace. Show of hands if you've ever heard that before. You want to stay competitive? Excellent. We're going to talk a little bit about how we do that today. I'm actually going to show you one of the properties that we're evaluating. We're actually flying out on Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to go look at these, a lot of buildings, all 12 units, and totals up to 128 units. Show fans if you'd like to come walk the properties with us. Would that be fun? Yeah, well, it's kind of expensive. It's in the middle of nowhere. So Jackson, Mississippi, like the flights are like anywhere between $800 to $1,200 to get there, which is kind of a nice barrier to entry. It gets a lot of unserious investors scared to pay the price. Number three, declining property value. Failure to invest in your property improvements can lead to declined property value over time. Not just can, it will. It will absolutely lead to a decline in property value capacity, what it's capable of doing. And that's why we buy properties at a discount. Show fans if you've heard the 20, 20, 20 and 11. We buy at a 20% discount from the market. We then value add or force appreciation 20%, and then we hold our properties for 4 years or more, and that gets a minimum of 5% appreciation plus the amortization of the loan. And over those 4 years, we increase rents 7 to 10% every single year, which gives us an additional 11% in equity, which puts us at a 71% equity position after 4 years. Show fans you're committed to following the strategy as well. Excellent. In which case, then I like doing business with you. I'm okay with doing deals with our leaders who have followed this process because it makes a lot of sense. The final one, inefficiencies in operations. If your property manager is charging you $6,000 to paint a unit, there's only so many units that you can turn at a time. Property managers who are able to find a person who can paint the unit for anywhere between $1,200 to $2,400 are much more valuable because you can turn two more properties at a time. Show of hands if you agree. Inefficiency in management will kill you. Awesome. Excellent. Then a competitive advantage. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Without a value add component, something that makes your buildings, your units different, you may have a hard time filling tenants in. And vacancy is one of the biggest dangers inside of a property, aside from where my insurance agent's at, water. Water scares me the most, and vacancy scares me just as much as water because too much water will create a vacancy. Too much vacancy will eventually create water in the house because you can't afford to fix things. So fans, if you are ready to dive into some action steps with this wealth principle. Awesome. So for some fun, let me first show you the property that we're acquiring, that we're currently under agreement with. This is a property in Jackson, Mississippi, and you can see this is actually 80 units. These are 12-unit buildings, each one of them. One of the things that we're looking at is it looks nice. It's a nice little place. And as I look at it, I pull back and I get a little bit more nervous because this is a discount store. This is a Family Dollar. I think one of these is a Family Dollar. Quick Easy, something right over here was. Laundry, coin ops. That's another thing that scares me. So I know that this is not a great area. This is a lower class area because they have, quick fix, quick wicks, whatever. Banks are fine. But when I'm looking, Pizza Hut is also something that's normally in lower class areas. Hollywood Beauty Supply, Nail City, Rose Discount Store. I want to say there was a Family Dollar like right around here. Coin up. I want to say it's that building right there. It's just not showing for right now. So as I was looking, I realized this is not the best neighborhood. This is a little scary. And I come on this side. This doesn't look terrible. This looks like a family, like residential neighborhood, a lot of trees. Trees are good. But what made me feel better about the property was this is a church. This is a school. So a church and school is my main neighbor. I've got walls and fences around here, so we actually can't see any of this. And this building is covering this worst area over here. So I actually have a walled block off barricade that is protecting me from the traffic that may come from that area. When I look on this side, these are smaller homes, so these are not high value homes. So this area does have some opportunity. But I think that with a proper fencing situation here and on this side, well, I won't need it here, but for sure here, I'll be able to create my own little ecosystem. Who's heard of blocks that are nicer than other areas? Who's seen like pockets? We used to talk about pocket areas. This is what a pocket area looks like. This can be a microcosm, good area. And when we looked at the crime report, this was right on the line. It was right on the line. So I know that by going in here and just kicking out bad tenants and putting in good tenants, we now shift the line just a little bit further over. And this is where I like to buy. I don't like to buy in the ghetto. I don't like to buy in the greatest areas because you can't afford them. They don't cash flow. I like to buy right on the line where you can have a positive impact and it actually makes a difference. Show of hands if you understand what I'm talking about. That's where the 2020 comes in. You're only able to do really well in those types of areas. So this is an 80 unit complex, and we're purchasing it with a 48 unit complex. Now, here's what I'm going to show you in this area. My competition is single family homes, which are probably not rented out, which means I'm going to get better rents here. I have a better quality neighbor here. This is just trees. See, this is like a park, and you got a little baseball field over here. On this side, it's all like single family cul-de-sacs. So this is a significantly better area, and I'm paying a little bit more per unit on these particular buildings. These are 12 unit buildings. And there's a slab right here to put up another 12 units. Show of hands if you like that value add. In a nicer neighborhood, I can probably afford to do the development of this building eventually down the road. What you're really going to like is I got Mitch Jorsky to do the scaredy cat calculator on it, to evaluate it. And Mitch is actually going to fly out there with me. He's going to come take a look at the property. And one of the things that we talked about with Greg, who's going to be managing this, is we've got to make sure that we get the tenants up. We got to get the rents in. We got to fill the units almost immediately, and we have to clean out any bad tenants. That is the first thing we look at when we talk about improvements of a property. This is the first thing that it will affect your bottom line. Show of hands if you're committed to doing multifamily investments. So your most important aspect when you acquire a building is eliminate vacancy. First thing you're doing is eliminate vacancy. The second thing you're doing is raising rents to where they belong. Most of the time when we buy stuff, it's because bad management is in place. And in this case, these guys, they over renovated. They seem like they've got decent management. But what really got them is they spent too much money on the outside. You don't get more rent for parking lots. You don't get more rent for electrical units. You don't get more rent for roofing. Show of hands if you grasp. You get more rent for fixing kitchens, floors, and paint. And bathrooms. That's where the rent comes in, is from like what the tenant sees, and the feeling they get when they're inside their unit. So those are really important aspects to take into consideration. Now, if you don't have a good roof, eventually it's going to ruin everything that's inside your building. So you do have to do roofing, but when you do an acquisition like this, patching makes more sense than full repairs when you compare it to what's going on inside the building. You need to get your rents up first before you fix the outside. Show of hands if you commit to making sure you fix. And let me be very clear. You stop water. If the roof is leaking, you stop it, but you don't do a full roof. You get the units fixed first. You patch, and then you fix the units. That makes sense? All right, write notes. I want to be also clear. Not all things are hard rules, but this is one of them. You stop water first. The first thing you do is stop water. The second thing you do is get rents up. You need to get those rents up. So property management efficiency. Some of the things that we did to improve property management efficiency on our 35 units that we just locked down was we told the property manager to think about lowering our rents. Lower rents just a little bit on new tenants because we don't need to go to the nines on these things. And I'm going to do some math. I think we'll probably lose some people. So if I lose you, just put your hands up, and I'll do a whole other training on this on January 13th when I do names on deeds. Is that okay if I go deeper into it then? Okay. When you're looking at, should I spend top dollar to renovate units? Let's say rents in this building are 700 right now, and max rent I can get is 900. That doesn't give me a big incentive to do a $10,000 renovation. It certainly doesn't give me an incentive to do a $15,000 renovation. What it does is it gives me about an incentive to do about a $5,000 to $6,000 renovation. If I start going over that, I'm losing money. If I can get my renovation down to $2,000, $3,000, and I can get the tenants in at 700, I'm going to do that over putting in, actually, let me explain why I'm going to do that. 15 vacancies on a 35 unit building is a lot of vacancies. That's almost 30% of the building vacant. So we have to go and fill those vacancies. That's 10 of those buildings, 10 of those units is $7,000 a month. If I go and I add the extra, let's call 10 times 5,000, that's extra $50,000 to get those rents up for, we'll call it $200 a month for 10 units. That means I'm only increasing my monthly income by $2,000. So right now, if I just fill them with a, we'll call it a $20,000 budget versus a $70,000 budget. Show of hands if we understand that's what I'm talking about. The difference is a $20,000 budget and a $50,000 budget. And the difference in monthly income is a $2,000 difference. I'm going to increase my income by $7,000 just by getting them in fast. Or I could increase my monthly income by an additional $2,000 on top of that. So I can get it to $9,000 a month. If your mortgage is $7,000, then you need to go and get your $7,000 versus spending the 50,000 if you don't have the 50,000. Now, the 70,000 would be the full combo. If you had the 70,000, then the suggestion would be to go and spend it, but it's going to take you 4 years to get that return on investment back. Joe fans, if you understand what I just said, 4 years. Whereas if you just put the tenants in and you get them done in, we'll call it a month or 2 months, now you're getting $7,000 a month. You stopped losing money on the mortgage. So you've only lost maybe $14,000 on the mortgage for the 2 months that everything was vacant. And now you're back into cash flow. You're paying the mortgage immediately, which you're going to get your return on investment back as soon as it's filled. As soon as they're filled, you're getting your return on investment back. $20,000 to make $7,000 a month. That's a 3-month return on investment. Show fans if you now understand the math. 3 months versus 4 years. Now, we had to explain this to our property manager. He couldn't understand, couldn't grasp it. I had to create a spreadsheet. I had to show him the math. I had to show him both sides of the equation. And once I did that, once Greg did that, he suddenly understood. Suddenly it was like, wow, I think I understand what you guys are doing. And what we told our property manager, and you have to do this, and we told him, we will get to that $900 a month. We will go back in and re-renovate. We just can't do it today. We have to do it on the next turn. The next time tenants leave, we'll go and we'll do that second version renovation that's much better. Show of hands if you understand, you can go back into the units a second time. And this is part of stabilization, especially when you're buying buildings that are vacant or buildings that are really, really low on rent, which is where the value add ends up being. You have to know that it takes 2 to 3 years to stabilize a property, especially with a lot of units. If you got a 3-family, sure, kick everybody out, stabilize it in year 1. When you're buying 30, 300 units, you have to kind of go with the machine. You have to slowly turn and take care of tenants and take care of things that are in there. I've said the word tenant too many times. Vinny Chopra would be very mad at me. He doesn't like the word tenant at all. He calls them residents. Feel fans if that sounds much nicer. All right, I like Vinny too, so I'm going to stick with residents the rest of this call. Keep me accountable. So that's property management efficiency. One form of it is knowing where to spend your money, where to fix your money. Another side of this strategy is actually cutting expenses. And any of our landlords who've owned a lot of property know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the trash. The trash can be a huge expense on your bottom line. And with efficiency in it, maybe you have a bigger dumpster that removes the trash less times per month or less times in a week. We had one dumpster that was too small and it was going every single day. That's very expensive. When you have a much larger dumpster, it got down to 2 times a week, which was much more affordable. And we were getting the same exact result. The tenants were happy. And so sometimes efficiency can come on some of the some of the expenses like trash. Sometimes the efficiency, we recently split our water bills. And so now our tenants pay all the water bills instead of us paying the water bills, which has created another massive efficiency in our condos. And let me see there. Actually, no, the condos we haven't done that yet.
Tenants.
Yeah, residents. Thanks, Dina. I'm so used to it. Some of our residents will be paying their own water bills, which saves us on expenses. So energy efficient upgrades, when you're paying for water, one of the things that Ron and I did, and we do this on all of our buildings, is we put energy efficient shower heads inside of our units. The pressure doesn't change, it just shoots out a little faster through smaller holes. And those energy efficient shower heads made a tremendous difference on our water bills. We did this on a 10-unit building 4 or 5 or 6 years ago. And this building was just a sieve for the water, but like it was just like, where's all the water going? It was just like going, literally, the money was just going out the sewer line, out the drain. Literally, that's exactly what was happening. And when we changed all 10 shower heads, instant change overnight. And then we went and took all the 5 gallon flush toilets and we changed them to 0.9 flush toilets. And again, we 5x dropped our water bill. And that made a huge difference. Water is very expensive in the state of Massachusetts, especially in the city of Fall River, where we treat our water very, very delicately. We have a very expensive water treatment plant that costs a lot of money. So in your buildings, you may find that shifting some water efficiency can make a lot of change, especially if you're paying for the water bill, which we do in Massachusetts. Is this making sense? Just a couple of examples. There are more. There are all sorts of different things that you can do. Strategic marketing and tenant retention. This is so there's amenities in community spaces. There's things that you can do to make your area much nicer. In one of our buildings, we added a gym and we added a laundry room. The laundry room situation was a mess. It was on all sorts of different floors. They only had one here, one there. So we changed it. So we put all of the laundry in one floor. It was a nice, big, clean laundry room with 3 machines of each. And the tenants loved it. The residents loved it. And that was at Fountain Commons. So when we changed that, we made that change, they were very happy. They saw a change in the building itself. They saw a change in the quality of their life. And now we're adding a gym right across the hall in a maintenance room. We just have a maintenance room that literally nothing happens there. So we're going to change that over into a gym. And that is something that now our residents, and the other condo owners in that building get access to. So amenities and community spaces can improve the quality of your tenant's life, and they also make your marketing for the building a little bit easier. Strategic marketing and tenant retention. So this number 5 thing that you can do is do not market on Craigslist. But if you want to buy cash flowing properties, multifamilies at cash flow, shop on Craigslist. When they're this is a pro tip. When people are renting their properties on Craigslist, they're getting cheap tenants and they're getting really cheap, annoying tenants. So those are the types of buildings you can buy at a discount because they don't like their tenants. They keep running into problems. And a lot of older people are using Craigslist because that's what they're familiar with. Smarter, more savvy investors are using things like Facebook Marketplace or Tenant Turner, and they're getting a much higher quality tenant pool. So you can actually strategically market your properties in the right location and get a much larger group of people looking at your property, which allows you to get a higher level of rent. Show of hands if we understand strategic marketing is all about positioning. Also, some of the things that you can market about your building would be the amount of bedrooms. It could be the kitchen. Make sure that your buildings are just better than the competition around you. One of the biggest mistakes that I've seen, especially in the building we're buying right now, is over renovation. Their stuff looks better than everybody else's stuff. And so they spent too much money. It's good to look better than everybody else's stuff, but you don't want to look that much better. If you're more than the market can pay, like they renovated like it was Boston, and this is not Boston, this is Jackson. So they renovated as if they were going to get $2,400 a month in rent when the max rent in the market is $900 a month. Show of hands if that makes sense. They spent $10,000, $15,000 a unit when they should have been spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a unit. And that's a big mistake because they'll never get that return on investment back unless that tenant stays in there for 6 years, which average tenant stays in a building for 2.5 years. So if you are turning that building again, every time you turn it, you lose about a year, depending on how you spend your money on those turns. So if you understand, vacancy is the most dangerous thing in a building next to water. Excellent. All right, cool. We talked about that. Excellent. All right. The commitment I'm going to request from you is to consistently add value to your buildings. This is December. We're towards the end of the year. We're getting into crunch time. This is buy property time. This is discount season. This is the time where people are making mistakes. Investors are tired of having their properties on the market. They didn't sell in the summer. They're dropping the prices. This is where we acquire properties at a discount. November, December, sometimes October, November, December, January, and February. This is crunch time. This is deals on the market time. We've been getting our offers accepted. Like Greg doesn't stop putting offers. He puts like 5 offers in every single week. Last year he put in 260 offers before we finally this year, before we finally got the deal indicator accepted. Now we've had 3 properties accepted in the last 3 weeks. So if you understand, it's not us who have changed. Our marketing, our strategy hasn't changed. It's the market that is shifting. they're starting to say yes. It is not our intensity. We've been putting in offers. It's not like we just started buying stuff. The only reason you see us buying stuff is because now the market's saying yes. So fans, if you understand how we have a pulse on the market, it is only through activity that we have that pulse. It is only through action that we have that pulse. If we were not putting in offers, we wouldn't know. It'd be like everybody else. Now, every week we have a book of the week. That was an intense principle, wasn't it? I went a little hard on that one. I'm sorry. Sometimes they're mindset related, sometimes they're marketing related, sometimes they're sales related, sometimes they are tactical real estate investment related. And it's very important to get these out because I don't want you out there making mistakes. So every week we have a book of the week, and Michael Shine helped us pick these books. Mike, do you have this week's book of the week with you?
I do not. It's somewhere in the house.
It's somewhere in the house. It's good enough. Let me grab it myself. Let's give Michael Shine a big round of applause. He is the keeper of the books. He's the holistic attorney. He's the closer. And he's also a
Yep.
big fan of Tesla and Elon Musk.
Elon
So
Musk.
one of Mike's favorite books. Go ahead.
Yes. So, first of all, I really enjoyed this principle, Walter, because we don't usually go down into the nuts and bolts of a property. So that was awesome. Yeah. Do it more. Anyway, so you have the principle is about having a business that solves a problem, and that's what Elon Musk is all about. And so if you read his biography, you get beyond his 240 character tweets, and you see who the real person is. And he's amazing creator of businesses that are out there to solve problems. One of the ones that a lot of people don't know about is his business called The Boring Company, which I just love because it's funny. But he was living in LA and he saw the traffic every day, hours and hours and hours of traffic. And he said, we could either go up, which is tricky to have flying planes, they'll all be crashing into each other, or we can go down into the ground and start boring tunnels. And so he started that company, and they actually have a loop in Las Vegas that you can go and ride on Teslas that go like 130 miles an hour, and you get from one end of the strip to the other end in 3 minutes. And so his idea is to have these boring company tunnels underneath all the major cities. He's working on a contract right now with Miami, but that's just an example of problem solving. He also wants to get the whole world to sustainable energy. So that was the whole point of starting Tesla and creating the cars and SpaceX. The United States after 1968 stopped going to the moon, just stopped. And he was like, well, wait a second, this is a problem. There is a benefit to going into space. And if the United States government's not going to do it, if NASA's not going to do it, because even the shuttle was just a atmospheric ride on the plane. But going to the moon, he said, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I just find that this book and Elon is just so inspiring. That's not even, he has like 3 or 4 other companies. And by the way, and I'm a true believer in this, he bought Twitter because free speech was getting assailed. So there, you're solving a problem. You got to let people have free speech, even if you don't like what they say. So it's just an inspiring book about find a business that will solve problems, and a guy that's just completely committed to that, even if it means that he almost goes bankrupt, which he's done a couple of times, took his money, millions and millions of dollars, and put it into new businesses that had, according to him, had like a 10% chance of success. But he did it anyways because he's like, I'm willing to risk it because this is such an important thing. So I find him really inspiring. I love Tesla, and this book is just it's really great because a lot of people do judge Elon on his tweets, and that's not really who he is. So that's what I got for you, Elon Musk.
Let's give Michael Shine a round of applause. The book is absolutely fascinating. I enjoyed it as a real estate investor. Reading of other industries, other businesses gives me perspective. And I think that you'll find the same thing. It's also, he's a very well-known person. His ventures are very well-known. So it helps because you'll see him very often over the years. So I think it's going to help you give some perspective of where he came from so that you're not being clouded or your judgment's not clouded by anything that he does today. It's very important to remember how he got built and where he came from originally versus, like Donald Trump is a perfect example of a very sophisticated, very talented investor who in his 80s has made some clashes with society and maybe lost some of the shine that he should have maintained had he just disappeared and died in his 70s. Show of hands, we understand sometimes people don't always, our heroes aren't always the way we want them to maintain. Elon, I don't know. I don't know what the future is for him, but for so far, I'm still okay with Elon, and I'm very satisfied with where he's going and the impact he's having on the planet. That being said, you're a real estate investor. You've got to look at your business the same way Elon looks at his journey to Mars, his journey to space, and his goal. By the way, this is what made Elon so successful with SpaceX. And I want you to write this down because it's something that you need to do as well. He said the only way SpaceX becomes a profitable company is if I get our rocket in the on off the pad every 3 days. Every 3 days, I have like that was a KPI, a leading KPI that he set to say that I know we're making success. If I get my rocket off the launch pad every 3 days, we now know that we're a sustainable company and we're going to be able to get to that next level. He also knew that development would take being on a rocket on a launch pad every 3 days. So they would not be able to improve their rockets if they weren't getting to the point. He needed the rockets to improve at X potential. The only way to get there was to have X amount of failures. So he needed to get the rocket to fail X amount of times in order to reach his target. Show of hands, if you understand, you must fail a certain amount of times as well as succeed. There's a number out there. There's always a number. We talk about this concept of going for no, going for failure, fail forward, all of this. There is a number for real estate investing putting in offers. The number is 100. Right? If you haven't submitted 100 offers, that's why you haven't bought a piece of property right now. Go out and submit 100 offers. For us, we discovered in 2023 it might be 260 offers before something gets accepted. So let's give Greg a blanket round of applause for being consistent as hell, for putting in a lot of offers. For you as a real estate investor, if you want to get to that next level, it probably helps to have a spreadsheet. If you're not looking at the math and you're not doing the math itself, I will show you what it looks like to do billion-dollar math. Would you be interested in seeing a spreadsheet very quickly? Very, very quick spreadsheet? Because I'm very nervous to share spreadsheets that scare people. So I looked and I said, what does $1 billion in equity? Hold on. Did I have the wrong spreadsheet? This is for Subways. I'm sorry. This is Melanie's strategy to make $1 billion. This is real estate investors. So real estate investors, how do we get there? As a real estate investor, if you're starting with a $300,000 building, which is the average price of a three-family in the Midwest or in what they used to be in Fall River, or you're starting with a $600 six-family or something, somewhere where you can get things for $100 a unit. This is the amount of units you may have. This is the amount of tenants. So maybe that's a duplex that you bought, or two duplexes, or maybe an 8-unit or a 16-unit. Or like we're buying right now, or we did in Decatur, we actually bought 35 units, but we bought it for somewhere around this price. The units aren't necessarily as important. I want to be very clear with that. Who gives a shit how many units they are? Right? It's about the cash flow that you receive. It's about what's coming into your property, not the unit count. So if you're saying I got 100 units, I don't care if there are 100 storage units. It doesn't mean anything to me. 100 storage units is not treated the same as 100, let's call it A-class properties that are renting out for $5,000 a month here in Tampa. Right? There's real estate that rents for $5,000 a month for 2-bedroom apartments. So they make a big difference. Show fans, if you understand, big difference in cash flow. Okay, so unit count doesn't matter. It's just the function I kind of put in there. Property management does matter. That's where unit count does come into play. A good property manager cannot manage more than 100 units. That is a standard of the industry. If they get over 100 units, they start making mistakes. They don't remember your tenants because they still have to have their family they remember. And Dunbar's number is 150. So I want my property managers having strong quality relationships with my tenants. They get over 100, they start making mistakes. Here's what it takes for down payments. When you are looking to scale your business and get to the next level, you are not going to be able to do it in the burst strategy of roll your inventory, roll your capital every single year, because it takes 2 years to age your deeds to get cash out refinances. The gurus do not talk about this. They make it sound like you can pull your money out right away, which you cannot do. So it's important to understand it takes 2 years. So if you look at let's give this for example. You have in year 11 years left to being a billionaire. You have $1.5 million in equity, but you can't untap that until you need $6 million of equity 2 years later. Show of hands if you understand the problem. The only way to scale your portfolio fast enough is you must use other people's money, which means seller financing, subject to, it means raising capital, it means partnerships, it means joint ventures, it could mean syndications, it could mean a fund, it could mean a lot of different things. As you start looking at the possibility of raising capital, it comes over this beautiful, colorful scale. Now, if you notice, red is bad and green is good. That's just like anything else in life. So when you're investing with small investors, $50,000 a piece at a time, when you're capital raising $50,000 a piece, on a small purchase, you may need about $100,000 on your first property to invest. You may be able to do that with two investors. That's reasonable. It's reasonable to find two investors with $50,000. Show of hands if you agree. If you're looking to get, let's call it $1.5 billion, it would take 30,000 investors at $50,000. That becomes really, really difficult. The more investors on a project, the more difficult it becomes to manage the intricacies of that. So the line seems to be somewhere around Dunbar's number. Who's heard of the 80-20 of the 80-20 of Dunbar's number? Have you heard me say this before, right? 80-20 of 150 is 30, 80-20 of 30 is 5 or 6. So you can easily, remember, 5 relationships, 6 relationships will easily have a powerful impact on your business, which is why this number rides right along this line. You'll see 7, 6, 7, 6, 5, 6. This is the level of relationship that you must have dependent upon the raising goal that you have set for yourself. Your relationships will absolutely dictate your ability to acquire real estate. Show of hands if you understand this. Maybe you've seen this for the first time. Excellent. And if you've never done this math, I see some of my really high net worth folks on here are like, oh, fuck, look at that. I guess I got to go build those hedge fund relationships, don't I? Yes, you do, Brian. You already know that. And it's one of those interesting factors that for Brian, he does a lot of federal money, like government money. So for him, he's like, yeah, that is exactly how it works. I only need like 3 of those guys, and that locks down a deal. Show of hands if we grasp that math helps you know what to do next. This spreadsheet took you 30 seconds to look at, but you now know that if your daily actions are looking for $50,000 investors, you can never do a $2 million raise. Show of hands if that makes sense. That means 40 investors. That means it's going to take you all year to go and find those 40 investors, unless you've already built a massive network like that. Our capital raisers, our community leaders have built those networks. That's what the Multifamily Investor Network is all about. That's what the Business and Real Estate Professionals Network is all about. That's what the landlord associations are all about. That is what our real estate investor associations, the Alchemist Nation, is running is all about. It's about connecting you, the leader, with people of net worth, people who own real estate, people who may passively invest in your businesses and in your deals. So thank you for your service. That's how you become a millionaire. That's how you level yourself up, is the relationships that you have dictate the quality or size of property that you can go and do. Show of hands if you're committed to hanging out with rich people and helping them. Awesome. I love that. Show of hands if you're committed to loving rich people, just like you love yourself. Excellent. Excellent. The more you respect and love what somebody else is and who they are, the more likely you are to have those things. So with that being said, this wealth principle 6, is the beginning of a very hardcore group of principles that are going to help you level yourself to become the person you want to be. Show of hands if you're committed to doubling your income, doubling your net worth. You're looking to get to that next level. Still in it, no matter how difficult it gets. Excellent. Well, in that case, Wealth Principle 7 next month is who has your money. We tied into it pretty easily. Next month, we're going to talk about who has your money, how to raise capital, how to find your avatar, and dive into those situations. Before we do, we've got Doug McGurk on the call, and Doug is very good at helping us move our brains into activities, doing things that will move us forward. Show of hands if you're all right with having our subconscious mind this week do this mission for us, take the actions for us. Excellent. In that case, I'm going to pass it off to Doug McGurk, who has worked with Tony Robbins for 3 years. He's built his own coaching program. He's trained people how to speak so that people can understand what the messages, complex messages. He's able to simplify it. And he was at the 100 Millionaire Summit. If you were there, then you remember a powerful experience of identifying who you are, what you want, where you're going. So let's give Doug McGurk, the Maximizer, a big round of applause.
My brother,
Oh, shucks.
before we do that, you
Yes,
said
sir, Eric.
next week, not next.
We're just going to mute you, Eric. Love the hat. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, I think he's asking about, is there a call next week? We'll find out.
There indeed is a call next week. It's right during Christmas. So if it's a small call, don't worry, I'll record it.
All right, let's give Walter some love. Come on. Very nice, very nice. And everyone here. So, by the way, I just want to acknowledge everyone for being here. You are investing. We're still here investing your most valuable asset, your time. So continue to keep the investment, keep like showing up and spreading the love, because I think one of the things I was really, I don't know if you caught it or took the value of it, how many offers, how consistent, how persistent they've been, that now that consistency, that persistency is paying off. So it may look like there's this avalanche of flow coming. While that's true, it's also because they've been chipping away, building their mindset, keeping the activity going, and they deserve all the love, all the success, and all the results from that. So let's give Greg and Darina and Walter some love. Ron for stepping up. Mitch for giving us a hand, because this is the model. This is the other than conscious programming you should also be recognizing, witnessing it, being part of it. And that's what we're going to dive into now around building that business, if that's okay. So, why don't you go ahead and close your eyes and see if you're hearing some of this music right now. That's right. Close your eyes. Take a nice, big, deep cleansing breath in. Exhale and relax. And I wonder if right now you could take another big, deep cleansing breath in and tense every muscle in your body. Tense them up, tense them up, tense them up. Get them tense. Every muscle in your body, your legs, your arms, your stomach, your gut, everything. Your mouth, your cheek. And relax. As you feel your chair supporting you, grounding you, and of course, if you're driving, do not participate. Keep your eyes on the road. And as you become more present in this moment with every exhale, imagine releasing any tension, any doubt, and with each inhale, each cleansing deep inhale, draw in clarity and purpose. Now, let's embark on a journey of the mind. Picture yourself walking down a path in a lush, verdant forest. The air is fresh with a scent of pine and earth, a gentle reminder of growth and life. The forest is not just a place of beauty, but a metaphor for the business you are going to build. One that solves a problem and adds immense value to the world. Imagine coming across a clear, flowing stream. The water is pure, solving the forest's thirst. Just as your business will solve a pressing issue in the real world. See how the water carves its path with certainty and grace. You too will carve your path, finding the flow that works for you and your customers. Let the story of the stream inspire you. It starts with a small trickle, emerging from a hidden spring. Just as great businesses start with a simple idea, it grows, fed by tributaries. Just as your business will grow, and with each problem it solves, with each life it touches. Notice how the stream doesn't rush. It simply moves with confidence and direction. a powerful metaphor for steady, purposeful action. And as you walk along, you find a grove with trees bearing abundant fruit, a testament to the power of nurturing and patience. These trees didn't bear fruit overnight. It took seasons of care, of sun and of rain, of standing tall through storms. Much like nurturing a business, each fruit is a solution, a product of labor, and a gift to those who find it. And in this grove, you meet a wise old gardener, the caretaker of this abundance. He shares with you the secrets of his success. He said, to build something of value, you must understand the soil and the seasons. You must be willing to plant seeds and care for them, even when the fruit is not yet in sight. And perhaps you heard the idea, the philosophy to be patient, to learn, and to persist. So I wonder if right now you can connect to your higher power, to God, and say these affirmations aloud or to yourself. I am the gardener of my business, cultivating solutions that nourish and sustain. With each challenge I overcome, my business grows stronger and more valuable. I am patient, knowing that value is built over time with care and dedication. And as he shared those affirmations, he also dug a little deeper and shared what his daily questions were, these affirmations, these questions that shape your reality. So I wonder if you could ask these questions. Why am I so adept at understanding and solving problems with my business? How is it that with each step I take, my business adds more value to the world? What makes my approach so unique and impactful, attracting success naturally? And the gardener hands you a seed. And this is not just any seed. It is the seed of your business idea. And he tells you to plant it in the fertile soil of your imagination. As you cover it with earth, he speaks. Perhaps this post-hypnotic suggestion. As this seed takes root, so will your ideas. As it grows, so will your business, strong and full of value. Now carry this seed with you as you gently begin to return to this present moment. Feel the potential it holds, the solutions it represents. And when you open your eyes, and you will do so with a new sense of purpose, ready to grow your business that solves, adds value, and thrives.
Let's give Doug McGurk a big round of applause. Fantastic meditation. Just really putting it right where it belongs. You have the capacity to be a great real estate investor who adds value to your market. Your belief in yourself is going to be convinced, is going to be stacked by past experience. If you can clean your office up, if you can clean your desk up, then there's a good chance you can clean up an entire city one step at a time, one property at a time. You can clean up a unit, you can clean up a building. Show of hands, if you understand, we build our confidence off of success stories that we tell ourselves. Little successes add to bigger successes. So my favorite part of this is to do our Q&A sessions. So in just a second, we're going to unmute our mics. We're going to ask questions, share ahas, share strategies, share tools and tips and ideas. And before we do, Dorena told me that I have the link to Names on Deeds. So if you want to register for Names on Deeds on the 13th, it is a free event for everybody who's on the 52 Weeks to Wealth or who is at the summit or who I like. And so 52 Weeks to Wealth link is a Zoom link. Dorena, can you drop the registration link in the chat now? If you want access to it and you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or one of those other channels we're streaming to, then you can just send an email to events@alchemistnation.com and you can get access to the link that way as well. So this event, Names on Deeds, is what I'm known for. In fact, Names on Deeds, I wrote the book. I literally wrote the book on putting your name on deeds. This is not a law book. It's not an attorney's book. This is the ultimate guide to small multifamily real estate investing for beginners. And also it was written for one of my multimillionaire friends, Michael Shine, was like, hey man, how do I buy more houses once I've run out of money? Once I've run out of free capital, how do I buy more property? And so it has a lot of creative financing strategies in here that are used by wealthy people. Here's what's interesting about it. As I get wealthier, I keep going back into this book and be like, oh yeah, that's what I should do right now. I use it as a guide for what I should do, even though I wrote the book. And the reason that works is because sometimes we forget, because we only do 1 or 2 deals a year. It's very easy to forget the system of how we do that. Show of hands if that makes sense. One of the ways I stay sharp is by teaching. One of the ways I stay sharp is by being involved in other people's deals, even though they're not my deals. I get the education and the re-education by going and helping other people negotiate, by helping other people find investors, by raising capital for other people's deals, and training people on how to find deals, training people on how to manage their properties. You may want to do the same thing. To keep yourself sharp, it may make sense to partner or donate time or volunteer or coach or mentor or get engaged or be a realtor or be a mortgage lender or be a property manager, something that keeps you sharp so that when you're inside a period of not buying, a period of not using your skills, you're still able to sharpen and tweak your skills. Show of hands if you understand, practice makes permanence. So Names on Deeds, I'll be laying down the functions, the structures of how we invest in real estate, how we acquire things at the discount, how we get our negotiation strategies taken care of. It's a 3 to 4 hour training. It is intense. It's a combination of get the money, get the deal, be the bank. We do talk about all the different strategies that we use in real estate investing. So it's kind of a fire hose, but it's also kind of the most important training that we have. It comes with the whole online university. If you want access to that now, you can go to namesondeeds.com. That is free for everybody in Alchemist Nation. If you're already a member, if you're already on the Mighty Network site, then you have access to the training for Names on Deeds. That is a much more involved training than what I will be doing. I'll be going over the overview of Names on Deeds, the concepts, but I'll be pointing back to the training, which is a 2-day training, which is all recorded inside Alchemist Nation. Show of hands if you like that. It's already in existence. You can go look at it now. You can prep your mind for it now. You can read up, research. The workbook is free if you go to namesondeeds.com. The workbook is free right on the website. You can download the PDF, or if you like to donate to the cause, you can go to Amazon and you can buy the workbook for $9.97. And all I ask is that if you read the workbook and it gives you some tremendous value, please go and write a review on Amazon, whether or not you bought it. If you got it for free, I don't mind. Just please write a great review if it has positive impact on you. If it does not, then don't write a review. I don't need. Send me a message. If you read it and somehow you didn't get value out of it, I'll help you get your mind right, because there's something wrong with you. It's not the book. Show of hands if that makes sense. Awesome. Let's open up to questions. Questions, comments, shares, ideas. Dorena, did you drop the link, Dorena, so everybody has access to the registration for the 13th? Awesome. Did everybody get it? Show of hands if you already clicked on the link and registered. Okay. Show of hands. If you need to click on the link and register. Okay. All right. Excellent. If you miss it today and you're on our email list, if you're on our newsletter, then you'll have it in the newsletter. You can go to last week's newsletter. You can go to this week's newsletter. The link is at the very bottom. So the valuable wealth principle is there. And at the very bottom, we have names on deeds. You can register that way as well. So let's get the first to unmute the mic. First to unmute the mic gets a question asked. And one more time, let's give Doug McGurk a round of applause. That meditation was just perfect. I'm going to listen to that one again. I absolutely love that. First unmute wins. Adding value, multifamily, adding value in the real estate space. Good, Dina.
I just wanted to share with you, I live here in an apartment complex, and they raised the rent last year way up. This year, not so much, but they're now having us pay $20 for access to the pool and the workout room. So I'm just putting this out there for all of
I
us.
like that. Another
Yeah.
stream of income, access to the pool and the workout room.
I don't go in the pool, but I still have to pay it. I don't go in.
That's right.
So that's one. And the other is on the water. They started this last year. They put out an announcement and they are prorating across the board. And it's a certain amount. And I think whether you're single, like I am living in here, or, you know, family, because some of them are townhomes, or a couple or what have you, it's cheaper the more people in the room, is what I'm trying to say, in the apartment. So that was a way of them taking care of the water bill. I don't think they pay it at all. They make us do it, but they prorate it. So I thought that was kind of smart.
That is very
Mhm.
smart. Let's give Dina a round of applause. Those are strategies that we as real estate investors can use to increase our bottom line. Passing expenses off to the tenants. When I lived in Las Vegas, I had an apartment building I lived in, and it was the same thing. This is the first time I saw somebody put the water bill on my my rent. I was like, "What is this?" That's clever. And then when we moved to Tampa, we lived in a complex. It was a 500 unit complex with I think it was 6 or 12 unit buildings. This thing was sprawling. And by the way, pro tip, I used to walk through that complex every day and I said to Dorena, how is it we own this complex? How is it we own multifamily buildings just like this? And now we're putting buildings like that under agreement, which comes from, I think, surrounding yourself. And I was blessing the owners the entire time. But they put the water bill on the bill. They put the water bill. It's amazing.
Real quickly, and I see Ron before you, I just want to add some. Dina, I want to like acknowledge you for that mindset. How many of y'all see people when something like that happens, they get pissed off, and that is how people get stuck. Instead of celebrating and understanding what's going on and going, "Oh, okay, that's good, that's fair, good idea. This is something I could do." That's how you set yourself up for success and abundance, rather than complaining and whining and saying, "How dare they? Oh, $20, I don't even use the pool. I'm not going to pay that. Those jerks." Right. So I think that is a subtle yet extraordinarily powerful distinction that most people don't appreciate. And they will say things, they'll give excuses, easy for you to say because you could pay it. Right. Well, the reason why you can't pay it is because you have that crappy mindset. But yeah.
True. Very true. Thank you. I did want to add, and also on the bill every month, they now charge a service fee, and it's not for doing it on the internet. It's just, I don't know if it goes to property management or what, like $2.50, $3, something like that. And that helps the management make more money so that they can do a better job. They better.
That's right. They better.
I mean, it doesn't have to come out of our pockets. It's coming out of the people again. So yeah, I think it's very smart what they did. I'm watching them.
Go ahead, Mike, and then Roland right after Mike. And I agree. I remember Ron was like, "Man, bro, they just raised my rent. My landlord raised my rent, and you know what he charged me? He charged me for parking spaces. They're charging me for
Oh, they do
parking
that too.
spaces, Walter." And then I was like, "So Ron, what are we charging our tenants for parking spaces? We have all these parking spaces for plowing every year. Let's charge them." So, being tenants allows us kind of a perspective. Oh, wow. Being residents of other people gives us perspective of ways we can operate with our residents as well. It's really one of the things that I say often. Grant Cardone says it is, don't live where you own, rent out what you own, and live in somebody else's rental because it will give you perspective. It also gives you more cash flow, and it's really good on your bottom line. Whenever you live in something that you own, you can't write off it as an investment, so you don't get depreciation, you don't get cash flow, and nobody else is paying off your mortgage. So it's nice to live in a rental situation so that you can get access to more tax benefits and more income. So a strong suggestion is don't live where you own. Like Ron and I have done this for years. We've rented in other people's places. One of the other benefits is I can move wherever I want, and I don't have to worry about the sale of something or now renting out a single family or a unit or a condo or something. It makes it a lot easier for us to move around. Go ahead, Mike.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Doug said because, and this is going to sound like I'm blowing smoke, but Walter Amarello, for just for this reason, you should come to all his events because he is the most amazing person at taking what a lot of people, 95% of the world will complain about and turning it around and seeing the opportunity in it. And for me, that's like the most valuable lesson. Like every time he does it, we were at the summit and I saw another event next door and my immediate reaction was competition, F them, I don't like them. And I go up to Walter and I said, Walter, did you see that competition next door? And he's like, yeah, Darina and Ron are already talking to him. We're talking about doing something together. This could be an amazing opportunity. And I was like, oh my God. And he does it all the time. So be here just to see how he takes lemons and makes lemonade because it's amazing. It's a great quality you have, Walter. So yeah.
Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause. I'm always open to compliments. Love you, brother. Roland Charles, you're up. Thank you for your patience, by the way.
No problem. So two things. One, I want to sincerely apologize to Mitch publicly because he invited me to the landlord call and last week and I overbooked my schedule and I just got lost in the shuffle. So I want to make sure that I take accountability because I believe in keeping my word. And I wasn't able to keep it. And so I want to publicly apologize and say that I sincerely apologize. And if there's anything you need, let me know. That's the first thing. Second thing is in terms of adding value, when it comes to the properties that I manage, I try to only charge tenants and owners for things that produce a result for them that is something they can use. So for example, I charge tenants for a resident benefits package. Within that, they get a filter that goes out to them so that they can change the filter every month to make sure it doesn't damage the filter, which benefits the owner. But it also provides them $1 million in identity theft coverage. It also provides them access to discounts at retailers around and points around retailers that are close to where they are. It also reports their paying history to the credit bureau, and rent payments are usually not reported to the credit bureau, so it helps them increase their credit rating in case they want to buy a property down in the future as well. So one of the things I always try to do is whenever I have an additional fee, there is a result that they can see, tangible result from that particular fee, and that helps, bridge that gap a little bit so that they see that they're getting value for what they're paying outside of the rent.
Let's give Roland Charles a round of applause. That is the essence of this principle, why it works. Why you're able to get more rent is because the tenant understands the value that they're receiving. It is not enough to be valuable. They must also understand the value. What Roland just did is he showed us 4 ways that that particular fee delivers value. He went through and explained it. And as he was going through, I was like, oh, damn, a sales pitch. But then I rewired myself very quickly to realize he's actually walking us through how he's showing perceived value. He's creating perceived value for those tenants. Show of hands if you watched that, if you can see it that way. He actually
For the residents,
delivered.
yes.
Excellent. He delivered. That's a sales conversation that has to happen. You can deliver value, but if they don't know about it, you're not going to receive the payment or the appreciation that should occur in the instance where value is transferred. What other wins, thoughts, or shares do we have from today's principle? First, unmute wins. And if I can get Mitch Jorsky to give us a wrap quote around improving and Adding value, I would love it. Your business must add value. Your business must solve a problem. Problem solving, Mitch. What rapper talks about solving problems?
Nah, you're gonna have to give me a minute. I'll come up with something while someone shares their value add from today's call.
I like it. All right.
Everyone's being so shy, so this is also a way for me to call out the community.
I like it. Johnson Amadi, let's get you, brother. You're out in Austin, Texas. It's a different market. We don't get to talk about it often enough. So, what are you doing out there to add value to your tenants, your residents?
So out here, I have an Airbnb and the cash flow on it is a little bit tricky. So I've turned it into an extended stay where they stay a minimum of 28 days. So it creates more consistency and less turnover. So I don't have to turn it over as much and my calendar stays full. And I'm also able to get around some of the regulations of it being an Airbnb because the city tries to tax you. So that's one thing I've done. It's the single family unit. But I was thinking about the rapper that you were talking about, and perhaps it's Jay-Z, but he doesn't really talk about solving problems. He just talks about having problems.
Let's give Johnson a round of applause. A little support from Mitch. I love what you did there.
Jay-Z, I got 99 problems. Is that one, Mitch?
That's the easy one he's avoiding, right? We're going after, we're saying, Mitch, just use Jay-Z, and he's shifting around. I like what Johnson said. He's shifted the term that his tenants can stay, and that has increased his cash flow simply by reducing the expenses. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's good to kind of look at all uses, highest and best use. We had a 3-family in Haverhill, and my partner looked at it and said, you know, this would probably be better as sober housing. And pretty much we went from like 3-family, and now we're at like 24 beds and heading to 45 beds in this place at like $850 a bed. So sometimes you, I mean, we didn't even think about it. We were like, hey, the easiest one to take down is the 3-family. Let's take that one down first. And now, so sometimes it, when you're taking that Sunday that Walter always talks about, where you kind of focus and maybe turn off the phone, maybe look at your assets. And like Johnson said, maybe Airbnb is not the way. Maybe it's, midterm rentals. There's all sorts of options, and it's just good to, maybe nothing comes from it. Maybe you look at your assets or a property that you're putting an offer in on, and you don't see anything, but it's always good to take a second look at that kind of stuff.
I absolutely love that. Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause. There's a lot of value already in the existing buildings that you have in a lot of cases. My mentor in Fall River, so he has 200 units, and he's been a property owner and manager since the late 90s. And he ended up telling me this past 3 years this has been his mantra. He's like, Walter, I'm not buying anything. I'm just making more units with what I already own. I'm just getting more bedrooms out of what I already own. I'm just fixing and improving and raising rents on what I already own. And he's just been improving, and finding units and finding value. Go ahead, Mike.
You did that. I remember walking through the 24 condos with you and Ron, and you were like, I forgot what they did. They had like a 2-bedroom, and you turned it into a 3-bedroom, or what was it? Yeah.
So we went from a 3-bedroom and we split it, and we turned it into a 2 and a 1.
2 and a 1. Yeah, nice job. Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, that's comes from seeing opportunity, and like you did with that building, you just bought a bed and breakfast, which we talked about on the 100 Millionaires podcast. So super cool. If you didn't see that episode, it was 2 weeks ago. We talked about the bed and breakfast Mike picked up. Dina saw it. What else? Other shares. Mitch, how we doing on that rap quote?
Honestly, I wasn't even thinking of for some reason it popped in my head, and I don't know, maybe hip hop culture is related to basketball, but obviously we know that I'm a basketball guy as well. And I actually was thinking about a quote that I heard from Kobe Bryant about doubt. So I actually was just looking at it real quick because it wasn't long-winded, but it wasn't just like 1 or 2 lines, and I just wanted to kind of like refresh my memory. And it resonated with me because, I guess, being the quote unquote scaredy cat, it's just like, I'll look at things and start doubting why they'll work. Which is, part of the process anyway. You got to be prudent. You got to do your due diligence, like regardless. Like earlier, when you were talking about markets, I put in the chat, I quoted myself and said, know your market, just because I say that so much. Like I say it every week on the mentorship call. I pretty much say it anytime talking about real estate, because at the end of the day, that's the most important part about any real estate investment is knowing your market. You gave the example earlier with the trusts, right? It's completely different in Florida compared to Massachusetts, compared to Illinois, compared to, Mississippi, because every state's got their own regulations and rules. And land trusts in Florida are awesome, super convenient. Don't have that option in Massachusetts, right? So, definitely know your market when it comes to investing. But as far as a quote, the doubt thing, he had said, doubt is such a strange thing. There'll be times when you succeed, there'll be times when you fail. So wasting your time doubting whether you will succeed or fail is pointless. You put one foot in front of the other, control what you control, and then see the outcome. If you win, great. You'll have to get up, do it all over again, do the journey. If you lose, great. You'll have to get up, do it all over again, have the journey. Obviously for him, basketball is a day-to-day thing. It's like, you win a game, you lose a game. So, that journey starting over every single day pretty much, makes sense. But it holds true of real estate as well. And maybe a deal, you spend 3 months on, but if it works, great. You're going to now move to the next deal and you're going to start from step one and do it all over again, right? And if it doesn't work, well, that sucked, but you're going to find the next property, start from step one and do it all over again. So I just like that, he just is focused on the process, right? And you hear so many great coaches talk about that, trust the process, right? Nick Saban, Belichick, just it's always that, do your job, trust the process, and control what you can control. And over time, the results play out the way they should, right? You see that a lot with, I still see that, with like the day trading communities. It's just like, you find an edge, you work the edge, and over time, you're going to show a positive profit if that edge indeed, works. You don't let emotions and everything impact the decisions. You don't, go off the plan. You stick with the plan. Same thing with poker players, same thing. It's just like over the long term, it's just like this should play out. So it's like they may be on a bad streak for 3 or 4 weeks, right? But that doesn't mean you are going to completely blow up your play if you're a profitable poker player, right? It's just you stick. So it's no different with real estate. It's like not every deal is going to work, right? So why doubt? But that doesn't mean you don't do your research and your due diligence, because not every deal should be a deal you buy. And that's, I think, what separates the successful from the unsuccessful. Because as Walter says all the time, and I think everyone else does in real estate, you make money when you buy. So buy at discounts, but also, make sure you're buying situations that you can improve, and analyze the risk reward, and always decide how much risk you're willing to take based on how much reward you can make, and make sure the reward is asymmetrical. Every great investor, especially every great hedge fund manager, all their investments have an asymmetrical reward side to the risk. So their potential reward is much, much, much higher than their risk, like 3, 4 to 1 or better. And that's all I have to say about that.
Let's give Mitch Chorsky a round of applause. I love how deep you went there. And this is for every one of us. Once you lock something down, once you put something under agreement, I have seen more investors get scared and not close on a deal once it goes under agreement. Once something goes under agreement for me, I find a way to close. Here's how this works. I am looking, like me, Mitch, Greg, we're going to fly out to Jackson, and we're going to look at the property, and we're going to look at the area. We're going to go really deep into property managers, and we're looking for reasons to lower the price. We're looking for reasons to change the structure of the contract. We're not looking for reasons to back out of the deal. We're looking for reasons that we can get the price better. Too many investors do inspections looking for reasons to get out. They look for reasons to move out of this. Now we're still open to moving out. If we know for sure that there's an earthquake that's about to happen and tear this whole thing down, we're getting out. Actually, not even true. I'm just going to over-insure the building. So if I know for sure that there's an asteroid coming, it's going to hit right on this building, I'm probably just going to over-insure the building. I'm still going to close. Does that make sense? I'm just going to make sure I get it super, super, super affordable. And the more we learn about our market, the more we learn about our buildings. Like we just found out about this water crisis in Jackson. I didn't know about it. So now I'm Googling what the situation is, what the story is. And now that may be one more component to us getting a better deal on this property. But my business partner, Ron's already come up with a solution. Ron said, well, just install a freshwater pump. Like just install a system, because the article we're reading also said this is what the hospitals did. They installed their own freshwater system. So Ron's already sees the solution. He says, okay, it's a problem. Let's get a price reduction so we can install that solution. Or let's put that into the contract for the purchase. This must be installed before we close on the property. Show fans, if you understand how committed you have to be in order to lock these sort of deals down. Absolutely. In that case, Darina has dropped the link for names on deeds on the 13th. I will see most of you on Christmas or Christmas weekend. I believe, is it next weekend? Is that what Christmas is? Is it? Is it that close? Today's the 16th. What is this? And it's the next wealth principle. Does it show up on? It shows up on the 23rd. So yeah, we'll definitely be here. I had the question. Wealth principle number 7 is, where did I put it? What did I say wealth principle number 7 was? Do you remember? Do you remember how to find it? All right, I'll show you. Here's how we find the next principle. Stop. Yep, start sharing. Go to Alchemist Nation. And when you go to Alchemist Nation, you can slide over to Community tab, which is right here at the top. And then once you're in the Community tab, depending on where you were hanging out, I was hanging out in the feed. It brings you right back to it. In the feed, there's a 52 weeks to wealth. When you scroll down, wealth principle 7. Who has your money? That's right. And next week's book of the week is If You're Not First, You're Last by Grant Cardone. So if you want to get read up on the principle itself, Who Has Your Money is a lot of fun. It's also a lot of work. So the Recession Proof Challenge next week is our last week, and we don't start the RPC until the first week of January. So for everybody who's looking to get into the Recession Proof Challenge, never done it before, it does start on January 1st. So if you have a hangover, totally cool. It's still going to be happening at 1 p.m. on Monday, January 1st, the Recession Proof Challenge. You go to challenge.alchemiststation.com to register, and it's going to be a hell of a month. January is where the grind really, this is where we set the rest of our year. It's actually, December is where you set the rest of the year for 2023. November is, but January, we're going to be going at it really hard. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. I always work with the best. I'll see you on the next one.
The best.
The best.